Welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, where we bring you conversations with the top business minds on Long Island and around the nation every week. Featuring expert consultants and small business owners who have found success but are also willing to share their top tips, failures, and give gritty, matter-of-fact advice based on their firsthand experience. Now, let's get down to business on Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hello and welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio. My name is Ray Schwetz, AVP of Business Banking at Jovia Financial Credit Union. We're focused on being the premier resource for business and entrepreneurship. Plus, we bring you weekly business advice, tips, tools, and services that help you grow your business. And we interview the top community and business leaders in the industry. And I am very excited today because we have a very good friend of mine. I'm excited to introduce you to someone who is not only a good friend, but also a force of nature in the public relations work. She works alongside me in the Business Leaders Council at Nassau Community College, in addition to many of the other things she's involved with and the impressive clients that she works with. I'm working with today Sharon Leid. She's the founder of NetStruc PR. Welcome to the show, Sharon.
Good to see you again.
It's great to see you. Now, Sharon is a veteran of the PR world, and her firm is a full-service public relations firm, everything that you would expect from a firm. You provide your services to those clients, and I'm very excited to talk about that. But first, why don't we just get to know you a little bit? Tell us about yourself.
Well, I've been in PR for over 20 years. Started out in the city of New York, working for the Brooklyn DA's office. I was the executive director for community relations, public relations, and also dipped and dabbed into a little with government relations. I always say God has another plan for you. So in 2013, I was working there 18 years. 2013, the DA lost the election. I lost my job. And I had to figure it out. And I didn't know, I thought people were going to hire me, community relations, public relations, we meet a lot of people, and it just didn't work out. The story I got was I can't afford you. So I had to figure this out. So where NetStruc actually came from was because my husband had the same situation a few years prior. He had lost his job. He started an IT firm called NetStruc LLC. And so I decided to market that. Now, full disclosure, I do not like IT. Don't like it at all. My husband, it goes through his blood, everything, but I had to figure it out. So I started marketing his business, getting clients, and the most fascinating thing doing that was sitting in a client's office while watching my husband's, watching his guys remote into the computer. So the most exciting thing I did was move the mouse.
Well, I say, so it's funny because I had a conference call with my IT folks, assistance vendor. They were joking, and he said, "Oh yeah, it's always the IT person." I'm like, "No, listen, it's technology that's not my friend sometimes.
Yes.
And you guys are the IT warriors that help me and fix it
up." I love that, warriors, because that's exactly what they were doing. They were fixing our clients' computers, and like I said, they'll text me and say, "Sharon, move the mouse," and that's the most exciting thing. But one day, our client said he was opening up a new location in Brooklyn, and that fascinated me, and I literally took that. Without even asking, we were just talking, and I just took it and just did his whole entire ribbon cutting. So it was the ribbon cutting. I had elected officials. I just laid the whole thing out. And he looked at me. He was like, "This is amazing." And my husband came to me. He was like, "That's amazing." He was like, "You were in your element." And he was like, "What is this?" I was like, "This is PR. This is what I love to do." And he said, "Well, that is what you're going to do." And that was the birth of NetStruc PR from that one event, and it's been great ever since.
Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes, the best decisions, necessity is the mother of invention. There's that, but there's also when you feel something in your gut and you just listen to that inner intuition and just go for it.
Yeah, it felt so good. It felt like when I was doing the work for the DA, and I said, this was the look out. This was the fit I was looking for, and just to get the support from my husband and and the family to say, "Hey, listen, do this," and this is the best thing that could have happened to us.
Well, it's also, it's in your background. It's everything that you do. So would you say, though, that it's a career that chose you, or did you choose it?
I want to say it was kind of both, because it fell into my lap at first, because when I was working at the DA's office for the first 3 years, or actually I started as an intern. I was actually an intern, I was an office clerk, and then I was a paralegal. And I moved up the ladder in paralegal to be a supervisor paralegal, and someone came to me, one of the bureau chiefs came to me and said, I think you have the niche for this department that I run. And it was community engagement. It was community relations.
Yes.
And I started there as a regular specialist, moved up the ladder, and became running the whole entire department a few years later. So it kind of was, half and half. Like I was looking for something, didn't know what I was looking for, and then this fell in my lap.
Now, you've surrounded yourself with good people, obviously, because they're seeing this in you, your husband, your business partners, the folks you work with, and they're collaborating with you. So that's pretty awesome. That says a lot about you.
It is. I'm blessed. I have to say, I am definitely blessed with that.
Now, who is your ideal client? I mean, IT and government are vastly different things. The only thing they have in common to me personally is that probably both are very confusing.
Yes. Absolutely.
Other than that, not much overlap. So who is your ideal client?
So my ideal client really are small businesses and entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And really service-based. And why service-based is because service-based, the storyline can be so vast. You can really tell a story in terms of when somebody's providing a service base. So authors, coaches, consultants, non-for-profit organizations, those are my ideal clients. I do take on clients that have products, but the products have to have a story behind it. Mm-hmm. And you know this in the media world, when you talk about products and things like that, they want to know what's the purpose of it. How is this helping people? And sometimes I don't see the fit. And not to say that it doesn't work, but it's a little bit more work. And also the target market partners, media partners that I have are really looking for more service-based. So I really focus on those type of clients. And it helps them out.
Yeah. Well, storytelling, I mean, that's really what people relate to.
Yes.
If you're going to work with someone, you have to buy into their story.
Absolutely.
And if you're going to go to someone for help, that's also same thing. There's got to be trust, and you can't begin that without having something that you can relate to.
It's so funny you say that. People tell me, "Oh, you could just take any type of client," and I was like, you know what? I really have to feel the passion in this client in order for me to get the passion to really push it out and do a great pitch. So I don't just take any and every client. I really have to sit down. The mission and their vision has to align with what my mission and vision is with my firm. And that's how we usually, connect. So there have been times that I have told clients, you know what, I don't think this is going to be a good fit. And, some people look at me and they're like, you're crazy. And I'm like, I'll do a disjustice to that client if it's not a good fit. And I advise each person, when you're looking for a publicist, make sure that publicist or whoever's doing your market, there's a connection, because they have to feel it the way you feel it in order for them to be successful in pitching you.
Yeah, agreed. And it's interesting. Your story, if it's not told right, it will get you results other than what you're looking for, which is a challenge. And I'll give you an example. So for me personally, like at Jovia, I run their business banking, but I do so much work with nonprofits. And it's because the nonprofits, when you're doing work with them, again, it
feels good.
Aligns with your visions.
Right.
It aligns with your values, so it makes a lot of sense. But oftentimes folks don't realize, oh, well, Ray does business work. So sometimes I have to kind of pivot and show them what value I bring on the business side. So what advice do you have for someone to make sure that they're aligning their story in such a way that they're actually attracting the type of business they're trying to get?
So when I usually start with folks, even on a free consult, when I usually start, I ask them, how do you want to be seen? And that starts the conversation, because they want to be seen in a specific way. They just don't know how to articulate it in a way for it to become newsworthy or for it to be attractive to their particular clientele or their target audience. So what I tell people is, think about, what do you want to be seen as? And that's the first step. When you want to be seen as an expert, when you want to be seen as someone who is a go-to person in this particular industry, you have really started the foundation of your storyline, and for people to really buy into and become relatable. So it's really in terms of doing that soul searching to be, how do you want to be seen?
Yeah. I think that's an amazing way to put it. Very well articulated. Because at the end of the day, if you're not clear on that, how are you going to expect other people to be clear on that?
Absolutely.
PR public relations, when I think about that, I have my impression of it. What I've learned in dealing with public relations firms and experts and folks like yourself who know, who are subject matter experts, I've learned that I have a lot to learn. So for you, what is public relations? What's involved with it? What are the kind of the services that you offer that support that?
So public relations has changed 20 years ago. 20 years ago, it was, and even further. So I have two mentors, Dr. Pam Perry and also Angie Collins. I call them the OG of public relations because they've been in it for like 30, 40 years. And they tell me the stories that, listen, we had to fax. We had to, and for those millennials who don't know what a fax machine is, it's a little machine that it has a wire to it, and you got to type dial the number in. But they had to
paper route,
and it's paper route, absolutely. So they had to go, find the journalist or find the reporter and sit down with them and pitch, press release, all of that. And so they had to really, so it's changed dramatically in terms of that now you have social media, it's networking. There's so many tools under the public relations umbrella that you have to use. Media relations is not the only source in public relations. It's so many other tools, which I use for my clients because some, honestly, which is crazy, do not want media. They want community engagement. They want to connect with government relations. They want to connect with elected officials. They want to be in front of their ideal client. Those are tools that I use, as well as social media and email marketing. So it's a host of things. It's really building out your brand on different levels.
Yeah, and it's a lot of coordination of those efforts as well. You are listening to Tara Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Ray Schwetz. And our guest today is Sharon Leid. She's the founder of NetStruc PR. So talking about kind of coordinating all of that, what is it? Is there something specific that's like the best thing for someone to focus on? Is it social media first? Is it government relations? I guess it really depends on the client, right?
Actually, it really is their online footprint.
Okay.
Because as I mentioned prior, we didn't have social media and online we didn't have that prior. So now,
that's the first step.
That's the first step.
Yeah.
You have to have an online footprint. People need to know that what you're pitching, that you're walking the walk and talking the talk.
Yeah.
So in order for me to pitch, the first thing that, even if I have a great relationship with that person that's going to do the story, they're going to do their research.
Right.
Although they know me and they know that I'm going to bring someone to them that's going to be top notch, they still have to do their research. And once they do their research, and if they don't see anything, if they don't see a website, if they don't see any type of social media postings, anything to that extent, they're going to look at it and say, is this person really doing what they're saying that they're doing? Right. So the first step is, let's look at your online footprint. Do you have a website? What does the website look like? Are you putting out content on your website? Do you have a blog? Some type of online footprint. And then we can move from there. So, outside of how do you want to be seen, the next step is, okay, how are you looking online? Mm-hmm. What's your footprint? Because if you don't have one, we now have to create one.
And you're 100% right. Now that you're saying it, that definitely all makes sense to me. Even from a business perspective, our underwriters, when we're looking to do a loan for somebody, the first thing they do is they look at the online presence, they do a Google search, they check out what's going on with that person or that business in the news, and anything that's of question, they bring it to me and say, hey, Ray, did you see this? What is this all about?
Right.
So, when
sense.
I am packaging these deals, I have to look at all that.
Makes sense.
I'm going to be questioned.
You're going to be, exactly. So you want to make sure that you have that aligned. And also, if you do have an online footprint, which probably is your personal page, everybody has a Facebook page, be careful of what you put on there. So example, I had a client years ago, she was a young lady. She had a program for young girls, but she decided to go on vacation and she decided to turn up. So she went crazy and she's videoing everything. And I'm seeing this and I text her. I said, please take this off. And she's like, this is my personal page. What are you talking about? I want to just, express myself. I said, not when you're in business. Mm-hmm. People look at this. So you got to be mindful. If you want to go into business, you want to utilize the media, you want to utilize all these public relation tools, you have to be mindful of what you post. Before we had social media, we didn't post our craziness. So why are you posting it now? So that's what I tell them. I said, if you want to do this, have your own little personal, page group where you have your close friends and family, and then you have that. But your private, your own personal page should be public, because someone may not remember your business name, but they'll remember your name.
Right.
So if they go to your personal page and they see your name, now they can connect you to your business, and then they can do further research and say yes to the press. That at that point, now you're golden. But once you do that, you kind of put blemishes on you for them to say yes.
Yeah, and I think it's okay to have diverse interests. I think it's okay to show pictures of yourself on vacation, all of that, as long as it jives with the character of who you are and who you want to present yourself as publicly. You
know what I tell them? I said, if you put something on there, your grandmother has to be like, what is that? You need to take it off.
Yeah. That's a good barometer. Okay, I'll do that. Whatever grandma says makes a lot of sense.
Whatever grandma says. If she says, what is that? Why are you doing that? Then you need to take it off. Nothing wrong with you posting that you went to a trip, on the beach and whatever. But if it's something that, someone has to raise their eyebrow to, definitely might want to take it down.
Yeah. Skip that. Put that on the personal group.
Put that on the personal group, so in a text group, whatever you want to do, but not on your page.
Now, other than that type of thing, which would seem to be common sense, but it's something that so many of us miss. What are the biggest mistakes that folks make in public relations work? From your vantage point?
When they get a media opportunity, they think that's it. They're like, I'm good. I definitely have made it. I'm getting as much. I'm going to get all the exposure. People are going to ring my phones. Now, I'm not going to say that is not going to happen, because I have seen that happen.
Right.
However, the myth is, if they get on media, if they get on a radio station, a TV station, or whatever, they think that their phones are going to ring off the hook. It's a process. It's a journey. So I tell my clients, and I tell those who do get that, you have to continue the story. You have to continue getting into media, continue doing talks, continue doing workshops. Whatever you are doing for your brand, you have to continue doing that and keep showing, yes, I was featured on this radio station on Tower Talks. This was an amazing opportunity for me. But you have to keep letting people, keep sharing it, sending it out on an email. Like, there's so many tools that you have to use to keep the journey going. So once you get that, it's not it. It's not a one and done. Mm-hmm. It's a consistent process that you have to keep doing. So that's the biggest myth that what people come to me with. They're like, oh, I was on Good Morning America. Great. That was amazing. We have to continue this. But they think, well, no, I was on Good Morning America. That's it.
I made it. The phone's going to ring for the next 30 years. No problem.
Absolutely. And I'm like, no, that's not the case. And that actually is a true story. Someone actually came to me when they got on Good Morning America, and they were like, yeah, I want to utilize this. And as I'm talking to her, she was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep this as is. And, the cricket started. Mm-hmm. And it kept going and kept going. So that is the biggest myth that I get. That once you get, it could be numerous media platforms. Mm-hmm. You have to continue the process, because it's a story. It's a journey. The profits are going to come, but you have to continue being in people's faces. They have to continue hearing the story. The average business person has to touch a client at least 7 times before they say yes. And these media platforms, it's touching thousands and thousands of people multiple times for them to actually make that action and make that phone call.
Right. And it's something that you have to do continually, because one of the things I also notice, and I see it all the time on LinkedIn, people will be on Good Morning America or something very impressive like that. And while impressive, you want to build on that. If that's all I see in your feed, or on, you're reposting that 2 years later, I'm thinking to myself, well, that's a great memory, but what are you doing now?
Right.
That's a fairly dated thing.
Yes.
So, yeah, that I think is a very good point. Now, what are the biggest risks that a company or an individual, a business leader or community leader faces in PR? What are the biggest risks that you've seen folks encounter?
So one of the biggest risks is that, I always say damage control. So I always tell them, let's not get to a crisis moment. Let's make sure that you have everything on point. You have all your ducks in a row. And also, if you decide to do media, that you know everything about your company. So I have clients that, they're the CEO and they have people that work under them. So there are different programs and initiatives. When we get you on there, I need you to be well-versed about all these programs and initiatives. So one of the challenges is to make sure that when you are on the radio, when you are talking about your business, that you know every nook and cranny about your brand. Right. Because they are they're going to do their research. They're going to go to your website. They're going to go and see the work that you're doing. And if you're not well-versed in that and they bring that up, now usually I give talking points. But sometimes they can not use those talking points and go based off of what you have on your online footprint. You have to be ready.
Right.
And those are some of the downfalls that some businesses are not really well-versed with until I come to them and say, this is what we're going to do. I need you to make sure that you know everything. Because they may ask about this particular program that you have somebody else running. So just get the gist of it, because they're not going to go deep dive on it, but they will want to know what made you decide to put this on. What is the success rate? What are all these things that's making it so great? You have to be prepared. You have to be really prepared when you start dealing with the media.
Yeah. And the thing is, you can tell when you're seeing someone's response to a crisis how prepared they are. You can tell if it's genuine. Like it's one thing to be prepared, but you're not memorizing something somebody gave you, because if you're doing that, it's going to come through.
Oh, yeah.
It's got to be that, this is the heart of my business, or this is the heart of what I do or what I'm representing.
It's the heart of it's the heart of the microphone. They will hear that pulse. And if it's a phony pulse, that mic will pick it up.
Yeah.
The TV will pick it up.
Yes, they will. You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio. Our guest today is Sharon Leid. She's the founder of NetStruc PR. My name is Ray Schwetz, and we're on the voice of National Community College, 90.3 WHPC. So can you share a story of a business or a nonprofit, or, choose your story, who you've helped, who you've worked with, and how that your work has really benefited them, why that's important?
So ironically, I get a lot of clients that are introverts. And one particular client, I have to say, I worked with her in the DA's office. She was a detective. She's retired now, but she was a detective in the Crimes Against Children's Bureau. And I've known her for years. I mean, we actually started out working as a paralegal together. Then she went to, the DI squad, and then I went to community relations. When we both left, she came to me, and if this was in 2020, COVID, she came to me and she said, Sharon, I launched a book, and I want you to be my publicist for it. But I want you to read it first before you agree. So I was like, okay, fine, no problem.
Right.
I read her book. And I was in tears because I had no clue that she was a survivor of child sexual abuse. And I'm sitting there and I'm reading it. And then I call her and I said, you were going through this all that time that we were working in the DA's office? And she was like, yeah. She said, I had to go through a lot of therapy. My writing helped me. All of these things helped me. Wow. And she was like, she said, I've seen you, how you've been rolling. I see how you've been doing things, even at the DA's office and now with your own business. I really want you to help me get my story out. And that was one of the moments that I felt that I'm actually going to make a difference for somebody who, one, wanted to get that story out. Two, who I already knew. I knew her integrity. I knew the work that she did. And it was an honor for me to do this. So my whole thing is it's an honor to work for my clients because all of them have an amazing, amazing story. And when I was able to get her into different media platforms, she was in tears. Again, she was an introvert,
right? Which
was crazy because now she calls me years later, Sharon, I'm doing this speaking engagement. Sharon, I'm doing this. and it's all because of you. And when I hear that, I'm like, that's the impact that I'm doing. I'm pulling them out their shell. I'm putting them in a position where they know how to talk about their brand. They know how to tell their story. Even when curveballs hit, they know how to deal with it. So that's the impact that I have, and that's the good feeling that I know everybody that I touch, they have a very strong impact because their story is being told the right way.
And it's something that, even though it may appear obvious to some, so you're impacting that person and helping them tell their story. That's bringing to them success. That's bringing to them personal satisfaction.
Absolutely.
But beyond that, bringing that story to other folks who have been affected or who need help, and to show them that someone else had the courage. Wow, absolutely. What an impact that is making.
Yes, because when she started telling me that how people are now reaching out to her to purchase her book and have her do speaking engagements and, really getting into that world, into that population that is not really talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, Sharon, I'm really making a difference now. She was like, I made a difference when I was a DI, but I'm really making a difference now because I live this and I'm showing people how they can get by.
That was incredible.
That was that, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. Every time I talk about that story, I get goosebumps talking about it because she really, really is that force not to be reckoned with because she's just like, I am here and I'm here to help.
And sometimes you're okay talking about the work you're doing. You're less okay. Like I know for me, I often have trouble talking about myself. I don't want to come off as disingenuous. I don't want to come off as having an ego. And it's easy to talk about the work of others and how impactful that is. And it's harder sometimes to talk about yourself.
It is. And I tell my clients, listen, you're not bragging. You're not boasting. You're telling the story of your feelings and what you went through and how your story, how your journey can help others. So once you're helping other people, you're not bragging. You're just really just telling the story and helping them get to that next stage.
And that is the power of public relations.
Power of public relations.
So where can folks find you if they're looking to work with someone, if they have questions? Please give us your contact information, where I can find you on social media and so forth.
Absolutely. So best place on social media is LinkedIn, and it's my name, Sharon Leid, Leid. You can find me on there. The next part would be go to my website, which is NetStruc, NetStrucPR.com.
We'd like to thank our guest, Sharon Leid, founder of NetStruc PR. We want to thank you for being with us. My name is Ray Schwetz, along with Denisha Boston Hill, your co-host and producers. Visit nccradio.org for more information. We're available on Odyssey, TuneIn, iHeartRadio as a podcast in iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. This has been Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.